Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special coverage on the latest development that is happening in Gaza right now, with all the escalation starting from the genocide and ending with the famine that is happening now. And it's really the situation is very devastating. And on behalf of Egypt, Egypt has expressed its deep concern over the growing reports regarding the state of famine in the Gaza Strip, and the latest of which was the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification IPC report that officially confirmed the existence of famine in Gaza following 22 months of Israel's genocide war and the crimes committed against innocent civilians. Of course, the escalation is getting really massive right now when it comes to starvation, killing of children, and lots more. And to shed more light on this topic, I'm so delighted to be accompanied over the phone by Ambassador Rao'f Saad, a former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening.
Your Excellency, first of all, of course, we've seen the escalation that is happening in Gaza and the Gaza Strip, and the determination of Israel of not stopping this war as soon as possible. Or not just that, but also each time they gather for on the talking table and on the debate table, Israel withdraw from whatever was happening with the agreement, and then putting new terms, which was the latest is the whole massive new war on Gaza.
Well, I hope in the few minutes that I'm given, I just can make the following points. One is, well, as I have said before, even I think with the Nile TV, that I detest and reject, this kind of terminology used by the media, whether Egyptian or the Arab media, that that what's happening is illusions or disillusions. It's not. It is a plan being implemented by over two tracks. One by killing, and the second is by starving the Palestinians, in order to lead to the conclusion that they are targeting, which is the coercive migration of the Palestinians, either internally or externally. Right? This is the first point. Second point is, I dare to say that what is happening, by a rook state, if you know this term, is that I dare to say, really, that if they are screaming over tens of years of the Holocaust, I think this Holocaust is, I consider it quite merciful if compared to what is happening in Gaza. This is something, I think, unprecedented in the human history. Third point is how it is an equation, right? That Netanyahu is racing against time with complete disregard and disrespect of whatever international or regional reaction, and in spite of a very active reaction, whether by the grassroots, by some governments, by the United Nations, he's just disregarding this because he is using this agenda, to reach something, that is an old agenda. And I keep repeating it, that has been kept in the drawers, and he brought it to the surface when he found the time is right to do that. And here I want, and I call upon, the Egyptian media, through the Nile TV. There is something very critical happening, and we never refer it. I mean, no one source of media questioned what does it mean Gedeon 2, right? This is something very serious, because Gedeon 2 is a story from the old history, that that God helped a very simple person, right? That he has no arms, he has no possibilities in order to win over huge and big people, the Midians, right? So that's ideology. He is using in a bad spirit and bad faith, right? Something in the old history of the Jews, right? In order to justify what's happening. That's in order to buy, the Jewish support. This is something has to be explained, and because maybe so many people in the world don't know that, all right, because that reflects the kind of mentality by which he's running this. On the other side of the equation, all right, and although there are signals of positive reactions, but they are incomparable in the speed and the collectivity and the joint action and the global action is being done by the world. And that's why, you know, the very, very hard work being done by President Sisi and by Egypt, whether declared or, you know, behind, you know, the closed doors, in order to mobilize the regional support and the global support in order to bring an end to the disaster, barbaric campaign taking place. So I call again, you know, that I think, I remind the world that, you know, it doesn't mean that what he's doing is not because he is supreme player, but it is because the poor reaction of the world, although with the kind of statements or even actions intended to be implemented, you know, in the General Assembly, so on and so forth. No, I just want to, I think the world needs a global action. And here I would remind ourselves that in 1967, when Israel, you know, attacked Egypt, you know, spontaneously, the 52 African countries cut their relations with Israel. In 1973, when Saudi Arabia intervened, right, by cutting the oil exports to the West, you know, the whole situation has changed. So, I mean, we can make it. Starting from a region, from the Arab countries, and here I would just, I think I'm away now from the government, but I think we have to launch a kind of African and Arab démarche, if you want, all right? We can encourage more Arab countries to join the Egypt's and Saudi's efforts, like Algeria and the African countries, South Africa, so on and so forth. There is something global should be done. I'm not in a position to design this, but I think it's possible, because otherwise you will just will put ourselves in. Even if he stops, he will stop only when he implements his plan, and then he said, well, I'm welcoming negotiations. So you start your negotiations from a weak point. So this is where I think, you know, we should raise against time in a different way. You know that we know that we have to accelerate. Egypt cannot do it alone, but meanwhile, no, the world cannot do it without Egypt. I mean, this is the kind of equation. But the challenges over Egypt is too much, and I mean, people even don't appreciate much. They don't know much, you know, how the kind of effort that is being done by Egypt, because Egypt is doing that for two major reasons. One is to defend its national security. Second is to keep the Palestinian issue alive. Otherwise, you know, we will face unpredictable future for the region altogether.
Well, Your Excellency, of course, through us here in Nile TV, we're trying also always to cope with what's going on internationally, especially when it comes to the case of Gaza, and we're trying always to have a special coverage as we do now, and to get more benefit from people in the field like you are. And of course, we've seen the efforts, as you said, lots of challenges when it comes to Egypt, lots of efforts being done when it comes to mediation, negotiations, and all of that. But as you said, Israel will never stop until it reaches whatever the plan is. And it's not only also, as you said, about Egypt only. Egypt is trying to go here and there to collect all the Arab leaders to go on the same path and to support each other for one cause, for a more massive and growing voice all around the Arab countries, of course. And not just that, but also we've seen President Sisi, his visit to the Saudi Arabia. He wants to unite all the opinions in the sake and for the sake of Gaza. We've seen lots of aids coming from Egypt. I think Egypt maybe exceeded the 70% of aids that has been entering Gaza. And not just that, also Egypt took the challenge of entering the aid on its responsibility and trying to facilitate that, whether through the air or through the crossing borders. But we've seen also the declaration of the UN, the EU, and lately Egypt, that the famine there reached the 5th stage. How do you see that?
Well, thank you very much for this kind of resume, all right, of what we have been discussing. And I think the important point that you have just raised, that the UN declaration of an official famine in Gaza is a significant movement. But you know that my problem is that if you compare between the impact between what he is doing in Gaza and the impact of this kind of scattered, you know, initiatives and actions being taken, being positive, but still that would not bring an equal reaction to what is happening in Gaza. That's why I think we need something before it's too late, because otherwise we will get into a terrible regional and international chaos in the region, and Egypt will be on top of the impacted, you know, countries, you know, in view of the different challenges are being that Egypt is facing, while facing at the same time the internal challenges of keeping the progress economically, socially, politically. So I mean, let's keep calling. I mean, the media is a major player, all right? Because but that would depend very much on the fine information, the analysis, the deep analysis, and the you know, a visionary attitude, and putting, you know, and raising the awareness of the danger of the problems that we are facing. So that's where we are, and we hope, you know, that I would say the human justice and the heavenly justice will come to this poor country, Palestine, and would add to Egypt's ability in order to rescue this the Palestinian issue from being liquidated.
Well, I think, Your Excellency, also right now the picture is clear for all the international communities over there. Everyone is speaking, not just the citizens, sometimes they're the American citizens who refuse Trump's policy, who indulge them in war by any means, like the fund itself. And not just that, but also they speak for humanity and to stop this genocide. It's not logic that all the international communities and most of the countries are watching. Nothing can stop Israel. Or what? This is the question. We've been talking about the criminal law, we've been talking about the International Criminal Court, and nothing is doing anything except this declaration. As you said, it's a massive move. Then we have to enhance that and we have to cherish that. But what's next? What can be done also except unifying all the Arab countries?
Well, if it's a question, no, we can. Well, you said that nothing, no, yeah, we can. The word can. And the way the word is on the way, but the speed is not equal to the very accelerated and well planned action by Israel. No, we can, and you know we're still in the margin of doing it. We can. If you fail, then other options will come to surface, and that's exactly what Egypt is trying to control and govern with patience, with vision, with control, with good governance, in order to keep its role, you know, playing even with Israel. All right.
I think, Your Excellency, also it's not just that Egypt. Since the efforts that has been done in its borders, as you said, in lots of challenges. Egypt shares lots of borders with different geographic areas that has also some conflicts, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So it's a burden, I guess. We were doing our utmost efforts, but it's a lot of burden that we need.
Well, pray for them. Pray for Egypt. Let's all pray for Egypt. You know, God bless this the president who is, I think, is a blessing for Egypt, and you know, and let's pray for Egypt that you know that God has blessed it from old centuries.
Well, Your Excellency, I think we all pray for our sisters and brothers and the Palestinian nation. Nobody is agreeing about the displacement of the Palestinians, and of course, all the Arab community and the international community are doing their efforts. Hopefully, this will stop soon. Your Excellency, Ambassador Rao'f Saad, former Assistant Foreign Minister, I would like to thank you so much for your fruitful and for your interview. Thank you so much for being with me. Well, also we have the Foreign Ministry, the Egyptian Foreign Ministry said in a statement that Egypt has stressed the necessity for the international community to put an end to the Israeli crimes and blatant violations committed, whose consequences led to the tragic humanitarian situation in the Strait. Not just that, the ministry added that Egypt called on the international community to intervene firmly against Israel's persistence and imposing restriction on the entry of the humanitarian aid, which was already available and sufficient to end the famine as soon as possible. We also have the Egyptian Red Crescent announced the launch of the 21st aid convoy of Saad al-Izza from Egypt to Gaza. The convoy included about 205 trucks carrying 3,500 tons of food, medical and relief aid heading to South Gaza through Karm Abu Salim crossing. Well, lots of evaluation and developments have been happening in Gaza. I think every minute we lose, as also the UN declared that every hour 5 dies, and there are probably per day 112 children. So we pray for our sisters and brothers in Gaza. We all from here call the international communities and all the countries around the world to support Palestinians. No displacement. This is the land of the Palestinians. And ladies and gentlemen, well, I think that was all for this coverage. Meet you again. That was me, Shuru Bakir. Thank you for watching.